Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today going to be playing Art of Rally. That is wonderful. I have to say, I played the demo this a little while back and it was really good fun. I was very impressed. And now the full game is here and it is absolutely brilliant. I love this game. It is perhaps one of the best sort of arcadey racing games I've played in a long time, and it is just absolutely wonderful. Let's start off with, let's say we start off with the graphics a little bit. It has a style. Now, this may not be to everyone's taste, and that is fair enough. I can understand that. Personally, I think it looks amazing. I think this is a wonderful game. We're just going to jump into a custom rally. Sure. I just load it like something was loaded up there. Let's go to, let's go to Sardinia. Let's start off here with just one stage. I tend to stick the AI difficulty on Master. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Damage level severe. We are going to go to, let's go to a little bit of a longer stage. Random weather. Let's just start off with a nice afternoon drive through the Sardinian countryside. So, as you can see, this is the style the game's gone for. Kind of nice, stylized, a little bit cartoony. I think it looks wonderful. Now, the vehicles are not real cars. Well, in name, we know what they are. An Escort, a Mini, the Alpine, the 2002, a 911, etc. And there's a whole host of different classes. So you've got sort of classic cars. You go to a little bit newer, you got a Mark II Escort, you got the 131, you got an RX-3, which is cool, your Stratos, your Ferraris, Porsches, etc. Then we go on to some rear-wheel drive monsters, and they will have the driveline set up. You got Renault 5s, BMWs, Volvos, the M1 Pro car, because it was supposed to rally. It was technically Group B, but it never actually ran there. Sierra Cosworth and AE86. Your Group B monsters, you've got 205s and 6R4s and all of the early Quattros, the Evos. It's a fantastic selection. Some unusual ones as well. I don't quite know what that is. It's a Ford of some sort because it's called the Cosy, but I'm not sure. RX-7, a different Audi, 037 is in here. Ferrari, the thing that was built and never raced, it's Renault 5. And then we have a van. There is some fun stuff as well. Group S is here, the truly mad machines that sadly never really came to fruition. The Audi monstrosity, the Mazda RX-7 thing, the Toyota MR2 alike, the ludicrous Delta, I can never remember the name of them. There's a Peugeot in here. There's that, whatever that is, the Opel, and I think that's a Citroen, but you get the idea. You've got Group A cars. Now, the Group A cars, admittedly, power-wise, it kind of goes up per class. So that this lot here got 500 horsepower, which makes sense. The Group S cars have got 700 horsepower, which makes sense. The Group A cars are even more powerful. I guess in this game it kind of scales up. So, admittedly, there never was an 840 horsepower Delta. I mean, Toyota may have cheated and put 800. I don't think that even Toyota couldn't pull that one off. Anyway, you get the idea of the classes. We're going to start off with, you know what, let's go drive the big turbo brick. I love that it's called Turbo Brick in the game. I've got distracted looking at cars immediately. We haven't done any driving yet. But yeah, you get the idea of the art style the game is going for. As I said, I think it looks amazing. I absolutely love this look of the game. No, it's not realism, etc., but I say it's very distinctive. You will see this game, you immediately know what it is, and it's still a very pretty game. Now, the one thing that you may be slightly nervous about is the camera angle, because this is not a normal rally game in as far as it's kind of top-down racer. Now, this is an unusual camera angle. It has been used in the past by various games, however, it's not as a commoner camera angle, shall we say, for the vehicles, and it can take some getting used to. I have to say, of all the top-down racing games I've ever driven, this is the best. By quite a long way, actually, with the way it manages to balance being able to see your car, being able to see the road ahead. I mean, it works for a rally game, because you don't need pace notes in this, because you can see the road ahead. You've got to kind of look in the distance and figure out what you're doing. Yeah, they've done a remarkably good job of getting... I'm doing a terrible job of driving the Volvo. That's on me. They have done a really good job of getting the camera to be as usable as possible here. Now, as I said, this may not be to everyone's taste. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is so intuitive and so straightforward. You just get used to it very quickly. You almost don't notice it. You just develop a way of driving, and it's all good. It's all good indeed. Now, I love the little details you have around the courses. Yes, you have the crowds, the ludicrous crowds, who will stand around and they will move out of the way as you come flying past. You can kind of catch them a little bit, although you can't actually run people over in this one. I'm going to sliding the Volvo around through here. There's fire spitting out the side of the cars. You can see, and we'll have a go at a night stage a little bit later. You will see the brakes glow on the cars as you go into heavy braking zones. It's all of these little details in this sort of style. Okay, I think it looks wonderful. And oh god, I was just sliding the car. I have a horrible feeling I was about to go do something goofy through there. But yeah, there's lots of things. It sounds great as well, actually. All the various cars, the big turbo cars. You'll hear the turbo flutter, etc. We will not slide around too much through here. Actual handling physics-wise, yes, of course. This is a arcadey game, naturally. But it's good fun to drive. All the vehicles are excellent to drive. They have their own characteristics of different classes. You know, you'll notice the difference between your rear-wheel drives and your four-wheel drives. Not the craziest biggest of differences between cars within the same category, although some vehicles I like more than others. This Volvo, actually, I really like. This is nice. It's nice and stable. The Lancia Stratos, for example, a twitchy bugger, which is kind of accurate, I have to say. Oh, don't go play on the football pitch. We're going to slip and slide our way up through there. A smidge, still slidey Volvo. On the subject of the camera angle, and that's actually the finish line there. There we go. So this was on the toughest of the difficulty settings. What did we? Oh, we did come across in first. On Master, if I have a good run, I can normally win. It's normally quite close. It's normally, you know, a little bit on the close side, which is it's good. It's a good sort of level of challenge. You might notice some names are based on actual drivers. It's also always quite good fun. Hey, the turbo brick's got a 1-2. So there we go. I actually thought I was going to have a bit longer to go on that stage. Shall we go? I'm going to run a night stage. I'm probably not going to be winning that one, and I'll talk about what I was going to mention in terms of the camera angle. Right, here we go. Let's go another custom rally. Shall we head to... Ooh, let's go Norway. Yes, let's go for some snow. There are some longer stages. You do have some 6-mile stages in each of these. There's, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a decent selection of stages per area. I think most of them have like a little loop that can go around. This looks like a twiddly nasty stage. Let's go nighttime. Nighttime, let's go with something all-wheel drive. What do we go? Group B is the tamest all-wheel drive category we have, and that's a rare thing to say. What do I want to drive? I kind of want the Delta S4. I do like the Delta S4. A bit partial to them. All the vehicles have custom liveries. You can't like paint the cars yourself, etc., but they've all got their custom liveries, and when you're going through career mode, every vehicle has a special livery as well you can unlock. I mean, you'll recognise a lot of the liveries from the cars, from the actual ones that they're raced. They're a good sort of representation. You know exactly what car that is. Like there, you know exactly what that livery is, just from that simple, sort of straightforward style. Let's go grab the Martini Delta S4. That's totally not a Martini Delta S4. Nighttime is a good challenge. Nighttime's terrifying in this game. Nighttime in rally games in general is terrifying, but especially in this. Yeah, you won't see a huge amount going on, so you're going to have to be... Well, you've got the lights and stuff, but it's easier to miss things, of course. Now, the thing that I was going to talk about with the camera angle is, of course, the elevation change. This is one of the more difficult things to deal with, and it's always going to be difficult to show when you've got this angle when you're so high up, to try and see when there is jumps and bumps and so on in the road. Now, the roads themselves, like here, are fairly... I say that they're fairly smooth. You don't really have big sort of like potholes and that kind of thing to deal with on the roads. When you do come to crests and bumps, there's generally, if it's a jump, they generally have like a gate. I don't know if we'll see one on this course that will signify that there's some, I guess, like airtime going on. There's also, if you're paying a real attention, there's some like darkening on the road you can kind of use to figure out where something might be, but it can be very difficult to tell if something's going to be a big jump or a little jump, just because you don't quite have that angle to really notice. A few runs through a stage and you'll probably learn and you'll remember, but approaching it for the first time, there's a number of times when I'm driving a stage that I've not run before. I don't think I've driven this one, to be honest. It might happen here, where I've not driven a stage before and I'm coming up to a crest, and I don't know whether it's a crest I can be flat out on, because it's only a little bump, or whether it's going to be a huge amount of airtime and I'm going to go soaring off the track. And that's the only real downside with the camera. You do start to get the hang of it a little bit, but it is tough to judge on some of the sections. In general, I've just been, let's approach them carefully. Oh, dear! And, yeah, it'll be fine. You'll also notice that as we're going through these trees, another very clever little thing with the camera to make it easier to drive from this, with there being scenery around, with there being trees and buildings. There you go. There's a big jump. I just didn't know how far that jump was going to be. A little too brave for me there. I was busy talking about cameras. Yeah, with there being trees and buildings and whatnot, if your car is going to be obstructed, the view is going to be obstructed by something, you have this little circle, so you can always see your car. I like that. That's a really neat little feature. Just a nice little quality of life thing to make the rallying, to make the racing that little bit easier. We're going to be very, very sideways. With this car, it's actually not too bad to drive. I've got some confidence in being able to chuck it around and not get it completely out of control. Some are more difficult to drive than others. I do tend to drive a bit smoother with the rally cars. I don't really like chucking the cars around all that much if I can help it. I know often rally cars are and so on, but for me I tend to get more speed with a little bit of caution. Oh, we got second. How close were we? 5 seconds down. Could have been a little bit better in all of that. Again, we can see the names. It is good fun. It is good fun. So there's a little bit, a couple of the stages. Career mode of this one works actually a pretty good little system. Once we get through all of these. Yes, I know we got second. It's not a terrible run. So the career mode. Let's go and show this one off. You work your way up through the classes. So you go into each class. It's kind of each rally is made up of like a series of events. You do one of these and you move on. These can contain a single rally, sort of 3 events. They contain a couple of rallies. I guess as you get further in the game, they're probably going to be longer and longer events. We're on group 3 now. The interesting fun part with these is it is randomized as to what event you're going to be doing. So, for example, if I load into this, what I'm going to be doing in 1974 in terms of a rally is going to be different to probably what you're going to be doing. The stages and the location. We are going to be driving. I haven't driven the Ferrari yet. I drove the Stratos, is quite twitchy. I like the Rotary. I like the RX-3. That's nice. I haven't driven the Ferrari yet, so let's have a go. Oh, look at that. I know exactly what that livery is. I know exactly. Ooh! Oh, we're going to Sardinia. I was kind of hoping to. So I went, oh, that's a pretty sunset we've got going on. So yeah, this is randomized for everyone as you go through. Now, you will have noticed there is a repair halt and everything for this. In true rally fashion, you will have a repair halt after a couple of stages because, yes, there is damage. Now, it's not crazy. You do have to smack the cars up pretty hard to get the damage. I run with the damage on severe in this, and I've never actually done anything other than made the car dirty in these. Despite a few offs, I've not actually really done all that much damage. So you have to be quite abusing the car. You have to be having some quite big crashes. Like a little bump into a tree like that, for example, won't do the damage to really require the vehicle to have much in the way of work done. Which, you know, it's kind of... It's a little lenient, it's a little kind on that side of things. I was going to have an issue. This is very different driving this from the Group B machine, I will say that much. It has quite a lot of turn in, it hasn't got a huge amount of rear end grip as you would perhaps expect from powerful rear wheel drive rally car here. We're going to go for the crest. Difficulty wise, for the AI, I've had some little bit of kind of spiking of the difficulty. I've had a couple of times I've gone to a stage and thought I'd done really well and been absolutely miles down on them, and this is leaving the difficulty the same, and then sort of the next stage I've had a spin and been quite goofy and still been quicker than them. At times it can be a smidge inconsistent. In general I stuck it on master and that's okay, but yeah, there can be a little bit at times. Sometimes it's hard to judge difficulty when I'm not 100% sure. Like maybe I just had a bad stage of driving that. Sometimes like you can think you're driving quickly and you're ending up driving like a plank. So it's always a little difficult, but at times it can get a little sporadic with the difficulty levels. We've got some kind of crazy... See what I mean? Look like the crests going on here. It's hard to tell whether that's a big jump or a small jump or quite what's going to happen. That was not a good run. I mean, it wasn't a good run because I had a crash, but I feel like I could have done better. You see? That's what I mean. See, other times I do that, I'd like, no, it'd be terrible. But there we go. So we took a win on the first one. Now you'll also notice there's a number next to the restarts. Now you get a set number of, an allocated number of restarts per event. The early ones were 5, now apparently I've only got 3. We'll go through this next one a little bit longer here. You get an allocated number of restarts. Now if you finish a championship with at least 1 restart, that's how you get the special liveries. At the end of each championship you unlock a vehicle. Now that might be the vehicle within the class that you're driving, so we might end up unlocking the... I can't remember what was on after the Ferrari, 911? something. We might end up unlocking something for this class, or we might end up unlocking one of the special vehicles. Because, yes, we have got special vehicles. You saw the van is in there. That's a class for van. There's Dakar vans. There's a logging truck. We'll have a look at it in a minute. I can't show you on this one. Or maybe let's not go too crazy on the way into here. Only downside with the restart system is that if you are halfway through a rally and have to go, like for example what we're going to do here, because I got to show off the Group S cars before we finish, it will use one of the restarts. So if you save and quit to menu, it will, or I think it's save and quit to menu while you're in the middle of a race, it will use a restart. I know it makes sense if you're limiting restarts, because otherwise people would abuse it by save and quit to menu and then reload and you get a restart for free. I get why it is, but sometimes there is a genuine reason you have to go or whatever, and yeah, you get enough that it's not too mean, really. I haven't really done much of the Sardinian Rally. This is an interesting one. Most of the stages are kind of a decent. We don't get too crazy and narrow. I think there's a couple of places. It's got in Germany and Japan. I think you get a little bit narrower roads, but on the most part, it's relatively kind. There's not too many like sudden. There's a little bit. There's not too many like sudden ditches if you fall off the road. Generally, you're going along, and if you happen to go off the gravel or the tarmac, you just lose a little bit of speed. It's slightly slower to drive on the edge of the road. I don't know what better to call it here. It's like fields, but yeah, it's slightly slower if you end up off the road, but not crazy punchy. I mean, there'll be rocks and buildings around places, sure, but yeah, it's not too bad. What's the stage we did? I don't even know. Oh, I'm going to plough through that. If you go too far, of course, the game is going to reset you. There is no sort of time penalty if you do end up getting reset, other than the fact that you've fallen off the road and the game's had to reload your car back onto the circuit. Come on Ferrari, we'll slide around the next corner. This is nicer to drive than the Stratos, I will say that much. The Stratos is quite... This is kind of in between the Stratos and some of the other cars in this game, like the RX-3. This is a little more twitchy than the RX-3, but nowhere near as difficult to drive as the Stratos. We have got a couple more corners to go through here. How brave dare I be running through the houses. I kind of want to be flat out through here. I feel like we should be able to be flat out through here, although the back end might let go. This was the stage we did earlier. Thank you, game, for showing off. I mean, when I did this career mode, my first section, that first part of it, was literally all done in Japan and Finland. It just wouldn't let me go anywhere else. I guess that's just how it goes with the random luck of the draw. Across the line, that seemed pretty decent. That was indeed not too bad. See, there we go, absolutely thrashed that one. Sandro was hungover. You probably shouldn't let them be racing, for God's sake, and Pez is needing some caffeine. I haven't seen those before. Normally they come up with fun, normally they come up with mechanical issues, but I've not seen hungover as a reason somebody was slow. I feel like that wouldn't fly in the World Rally Championship these days. I don't think you'd get away with that somehow. Apparently I am third on the leaderboard. Oh no, I'm third on the leaderboard with the rotary. I was much quicker with that. Yeah, that's actually a really nice car to drive, of course. Right, so then we're going to go to the repair hut. I'll show you that while we're here. So you saw I bumped a tree. Otherwise, it was fairly clean. As far as meanness goes, the stages here aren't, on the most part, too horrifically mean. So yeah, I've tended to keep the cars relatively clean. So yeah, here you go. So this is your repair system. Much like games have time allocation for this, the only thing we can do is clean. The only thing we need to do is clean the car, and that's it. But we will go and save and quit to the menu, because I want to have a go with the Group S cars. Oh, before we do, just have a quick show off of the other groups that we can't see yet because I haven't unlocked them. So you can have a logging truck, you can have Dakar truck, always good. You can have Daihatsu midget, yes, you can race them. And then there's the vans, the Das speed van, high speed van, it's a cube van, and there's a modern van as well. So like a fun little class. It's not a bad selection of cars. Again, you got to bear in mind here, this is a fairly small indie game, and it's got a really good selection of, okay, technically not licensed cars, but it's an interesting, fun selection of cars, and that's the most important thing. Let's go to Japan. We're going to stick it with one stage. Where do we want to go? I want to go for a tarmac one, just to showcase some of that. Maybe not nighttime. Oh, you know what? Let's go for some rain. I hope it's rain and daylight. Oh god, I've just realised I've gone for rain. I'm going to show off the Group S cars. Let's go and grab the monstrous MR2. I quite like this. I mean, I like all... no, you know what? We're going to go with the monstrous MR2. I like. Let's see how this goes in the rain. Nothing can go wrong here. I mean, these cars were biblically fast, or would have been had they ever come to fruition. So it's nice having these. It's not, you don't see these very often. You don't see them very often, mostly because they were barely real. There were prototypes, but nothing ever really came of them. Ah, yes, there are puddles to be worrying about on this. I believe puddles will slow you, will give you a lot less grip. Here we go. Now, let's see how we do with our MR2. It's going to be very, very quick up here. It's going to be very, very quick. Now, there is going to be more grip, naturally, because we are on tarmac. So we've got to bear in mind we can get away with more, although, as I say that, I've binned it in the wall. Shush! Nobody saw that. Nobody needs to know. We'll just edit and cut and it'll be fine. No, you can make mistakes with these. Of course, the faster car you get, the more likely you're going to be making mistakes. And the tarmac rallies are very quick. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful through all of this. Exactly the same bloody place as well. Alright, maybe we're just going to carry on here. I'm going to blame the puddle. I'm going to say we hit the puddle and aquaplane towards the wall. I'm not 100% sure that's what happened. But you can see the car kind of moving around a little bit if we are not careful. Oh, lunatic crowds. Oh, slide around. We're kind of dodging puddles. We're not really going for that. Oh, come on. Spin the wheels like a lunatic. And we are away. Don't like those edge of road markings. Always feel like I'm going to do mean things. That guardrail jumped out of absolutely nowhere. On the inside there. Christ, I mean, if you hit that, you are well off the course anyway, but still, it's a bit nuts. Again, as far as obstacles and dangers being hidden by the camera, it's not very often that you come across them. Yes, that guardrail there was a little bit of a sneaky bugger, but on the most part, everything has been very obvious. We have a big old hill climb up here, are we? Oh, there we go. We'll make the corner just about. Oh, no, not the rocks. This has been a terrible run. We're not going to be winning here, I can tell you that much. As far as other criticisms go for this game, I can't really find too much to fault with it. I do like it. I would maybe like a couple more locations, a couple more countries for the stages. There is a good number of stages per area, and they've all been great fun to drive. I've not found a stage that I absolutely hate. They've all been entertaining, but maybe a couple more countries. Whether we will see, I don't know whether there's any plans for DLC updates, etc. in the future. Maybe get a Great Britain in there, or I don't know, Australia, something like that. For something, as I say, a little bit of more variety. Might be nice to see, but yeah, what is here is fantastic. I really like it. Really impressed with this one. Oh, come on, Toyota. We can maybe make up enough time to rectify our earlier mistakes, but I'm not sure. Oh, puddles. Careful. I haven't come across a wet stage in the career so far. I only mean if I force the game to do it. Oh! It's fine. Got away with that. We're all okay. So yeah, you lose. I mean, it's not the craziest aquaplaning as you go through the puddles, but you will be losing grip if you hit them and slide around. So it's just something else to bear in mind. No crazy jumps on this one, particularly. We're going to slide the car around. It's not doing the MR2 thing of trying to murder you if you happen to get some oversteer, which is nice. Oh, although crowds, out of the way, you lunatics. Oh dear. No, I'm now is full concentration mode as the car's slipping and sliding around. I'm driving it a little bit more ragged, more for fun than anything. I don't want to get really much speed out of it. Oh no, too ragged. Get back on the road, find some traction. Yeah, some cars won't get away with being driven like this, or I can't get away with being driven like that. But this one here, I do actually have some trust that I can put my foot down and get away with it. I don't know how big that jump is, so we're going to be cautious. Occasionally, another thing with the handling, I've just thought of whenever that jump reminded me. The cars do feel quite stiff on the landings in some of the big jumps, like it'll land and it'll just ping around wildly. To an extent, rally cars can do that. They're not exactly a trophy truck, but there's a couple of times where you've gone across what seemed like a fairly small jump, and it hits the ground, and the car just kind of bounces around an awful lot. So, got to be careful. Honestly, the big jumps just aren't worth taking, because you don't know how big. Well, yeah. I say the big jumps. You don't know how big a jump is part of the problem, and if it is a big jump, the landing, you might end up just pinging wildly off the side. So more often than not, you're better being cautious and not going for the massive airtime. There was a bit of a scruffy run, but you get the idea. of the stage. It's good fun. Hey, we actually did take victory. Bloody hell, we were flying down there. Sure, remember this is the tough difficulty. Oh, we got a second on the leaderboard, although not many people have driven this one. So, there we go. Yeah, we had a spin. We could have got first if we hadn't had that spin. Regardless, this is a really cool game. It's a really, really cool game. I massively, massively recommend this one. It's an awful lot of fun. Something quite different. You know, maybe the camera angle won't be to everyone's taste. I would say if you're slightly put off by it, I think the demo might still be around. I do recommend at least giving it a try, giving it a chance, because it becomes very familiar very quickly. It's impressive how well it's done. I think the game looks stunning. I think it's a really, really good-looking game. It has a style. Again, maybe you might not be a fan of that, but personally I think it's a wonderful-looking game. Drives really well. What more could you ask for? Some really interesting cars and some fun vehicles as well in all of that. So yes, do go check this game out. I think it's out. I think it's out now. If not, it's coming out very, very soon. So yeah, do go give it a look at. There's even a full replay editor along with a photo mode as well if you want to take some fancy pictures. It's change the camera angle. There's different camera angles around the place. Oopsie, what am I pressing for? Photo mode? Not sure. There is a way to do it. I'm playing on a PS4 controller at the moment. My computer with my 360 one died, so I don't know what any of the buttons do. Regardless, really good game. Loads of cool stuff on this one. Massive recommendation from me. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.